A significant feature of the COVID-19 pandemic so far is the lack of cooperation between nations. It's tended to be every country for itself, and it's starting to look that way for vaccines and promising treatments like the drug remdesivir.
The US government has cornered almost the entire global market of remdesivir.
This week, there was good news about a COVID vaccine being developed by Oxford University. What didn't get a lot of publicity was that the US has invested more than $1 billion in the Oxford vaccine in return for 300 million doses of the first production run. Europe has booked another 400 million doses. The Merkel government has spent 300 million euros on a stake in CureVac, the German company which also has a promising vaccine. And 730 has been told that other countries are out looking to nab vaccine supplies ahead of time. And that could be a problem for Australia.
If these countries now form engagements and they start bidding against each other, one, it'll drive up the price. Two, we'll be in a thicket of agreements. And three, the vast majority of countries in the world, including wealthy countries, small wealthy countries, will not be able to compete.
Gavi is a global vaccine alliance aiming to secure worldwide access for successful COVID vaccines, in part through commitments in return for investment. Dr. Seth Berkley has ambitious plans.
The goal of the facility is to have 2 billion doses by the end of 2021. We expect that 950 million, if we get to that number, will go to high-income countries, 950 million to low-income countries, and then about 100 million doses will be kept aside for humanitarian situations and active outbreaks that need response from the international community.
So what does this mean for Australia?
Well, I suppose the worst fear is we don't get access, and that's a difficult thing it's a complex problem. Obviously, it's a technical problem, but it's political, it's commercial, and it's ethical too. And where are these vaccines going to be produced? I suppose the worst fear is
Professor Colin Poughton argues that the way through this for Australia is for the government to invest in manufacturing capacity for a range of vaccines, including what's known as mRNA, a new technology which makes cells produce part of the COVID virus and thereby induce an immune response. Monash University has such a vaccine.
Well, I think if we can establish that capability, it will be useful not just for COVID-19, but also in the future. It's the sort of high-tech manufacturing capability that Australia should be involved in. The price tag for setting up a facility is probably a few $1 million, but I think that a commercial product is going to be at least $10 a dose, probably more. And so you're looking at $500 million, $1 billion for the doses for Australia. And that's sort of a conservative estimate.
But vaccine manufacturing involves more than new technology. Some of the basics could get swallowed up by nations trying to secure their own supplies.
We will need to make sure there are adequate, for example, glass vials that need certain type of glass vials and stoppers and syringes and cold chain. And for some of the vaccines, specialized delivery systems. If you have a lot of bilateral deals, you may tie up the suppliers for this and not have adequate supplies for the global process.
Self-interest goes wider than serving our own population. If we want to open up our international borders, we have a vested interest in other countries also gaining access to vaccines.
Our belief is the best way to control this pandemic is to try to vaccinate about 20% of the world's population, not to vaccinate 100% of a few countries and to leave the rest of the world with no vaccine, because then you'll continue to see outbreaks of disease, the virus moving around.
Health Minister Greg Hunt wasn't available for an interview today, but told 730 that the government is funding vaccine research and progressing conversations with leading COVID-19 vaccine developers regarding access, supply and onshore manufacturing options. He's also been discussing international licensing arrangements with the British government this week to ensure access and supply for Australia to vaccines developed in the UK.
The question for any country is, how do you best increase your odds of success? One, of course, is following good science, using the best science you have in your country, but it's also keeping watch in the rest of the world and working with countries to move forward.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.